This wasn't supposed to happen. I had more information to give. I was trying to help. I was trying to make up for the things I did. It all got out of hand. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just wanted to help people. Let's skip ahead. But then it was too late. They would have killed me if I hadn't gone along with it. I didn't want any of this. I didn't want to listen to the whispers, but they made me. You had to. I just wanted to get away from the city now, to never bother anyone again. That's what I was going to do. They tricked me, just like the Low Kings. I was just trying to help them. I wasn't supposed to know the location of that place, but I did, and I gave it to them. Why? Why have they done this to me? Mercy! Mercy! This is Red Moon Roleplaying. The sun is beginning to set in the city of Middenheim as the unit being assembled for this trip into the Undercity is finally beginning to get ready to depart. It's been an awkward few hours, Heinrich and Siegfrieda. After all, you were ready to go immediately, but for some reason everyone else is insisting on preparation, organisation and planning, which is all well and good, but, well, maybe your friend is getting closer and closer to meeting a sticky end. But there's no getting around it. The watch commander, Ulrich Schutzmann, has insisted that an awful lot of people go down into these sewers. It was also initially a problem because you now realise, having looked over the map, that the map doesn't actually tell you where to start. Which, again, maybe Erica could have handled that issue, but for everyone else, they kind of are quite insistent on knowing which sewer to actually start the journey in. Luckily, that is where the sewer jacks come in, and quite a few of them have been called in. There's even some very heavily armoured dwarves who have been called in, 2 or 3, who apparently are part of the city's Ironbreaker unit. Which all 3 of you probably wouldn't know too much about, but you may have heard the rumours that there are dwarves who are heavily armoured who go around in tunnels dealing with problems, and here are some of them. All in all, 2 teams have been assembled, 20 watchmen in each, 10 rifle-trained militia, and 5 sewer jacks. They are going to be the ones who go down. Meanwhile, waiting above will be 20 Knights Panther, and another 20 watchmen, and 10 general militia, all just waiting in case, well, help is needed. What are you making of all these preparations, Heinrich? There's an awful lot of military organisation going on here.
Oh, I live for this. This is delightful. I am trying to get as close a look at these Ironbreakers and their equipment without appearing awkward or gawking.
Certainly, it's very impressive. It's almost like your plate mail, but a lot denser looking, covered in runes, similar to the ones on your sword. They wield very large battle hammers, which seem quite heavy and very intimidating looking. 2 of them have very big, thick black beards, braided in typical dwarven fashion, with big iron helmets on. One of them does not have a beard, but again has a similar helmet on. This dwarf also has 2 large pauldrons. Not sure what they signify, but perhaps this is a commander of their unit?
I have heard a rumor that, on occasion, Ironbreakers carry like little pomegranate-sized devices of explosion and wonder. Are there any cinder blast grenades amongst this bunch?
There aren't, although you do hear that word being mentioned. But the one without the beard kind of shakes her head and says loudly to a guard like, "Are you out of your mind? We're not going to be blowing anything up today. We want to live. Bloody humans always wanted explosions."
Well, you can't blame a guy for trying. All the same, shall conduct myself, I suppose. Oh lordy, aside from I would not presume to take command of the Iron Breakers, but did I accidentally get myself in charge of this bunch, or is there a senior watch official around?
There apparently are a few watch sergeants in command, leading both the units. Does seem as if you're not in charge fully, but, well, I don't think there'll be a problem with you at least giving your opinion.
Oh no, thanks Sigmar for that. Heinrich isn't cut out for command. Far too impulsive. Ask around.
Indeed. What about you, Gurner? You've had time during all this to go back to the guild and make your report. You weren't really asked any questions. The guild master, Albrecht Helscher, simply nodded and said, "Good job, get back to work. Continue to assist." And that was it. He didn't really seem interested at this point in getting any more information from you.
Me, personally, I didn't really expect that much of a reply either way. The job that I was hired for in the first place, it wasn't even what I just did. That was sort of long ago, so I suppose I'm just aiding the city for now and seeing where that leads. As I made my way back here and start seeing the preparations, my thoughts are mainly on the idea of magic users living in secret this long in their lives, hiding their talents or curses, whatever you would like to call it. Like this lawyer, living on in his life, and he must have been practicing magic for a long time to be able to unleash something so powerful. I wonder who taught him. I wonder if there are teachers inside of this cult. And how it all works. Then they're starting to mix. Do they even know what they're doing when they're mixing the winds? Or do they perhaps not even know how to do it one wind at a time? And I'm quite distracted. Not really sure what position I'm gonna take in this big, full-scale assault. It's quite something to behold, these preparations.
Indeed. And what about you, Siegfrieda? You will be made aware that of all those people going down, each team also has 5 general militia who will be forming a medical unit. They, of course, will be largely at the back of all the action, but there will be other medical practitioners here. Of course, these individuals will all at most be a physician. No doctors here.
Well, I was worried for a moment there that it would be down to me to patch up any wounds, and depending on the danger we faced, that could have been quite a lot. So the fact that there is a medical team on standby is reassuring. However, this does all rather... Maybe I'm a little overconfident, but this all feels rather like over-egging it. We are dispatching, not by our choice, mind you, a practical battalion down into the sewers to root out this cult. We have been able to root out cults and cultists, just the 3 of us. Now, well, obviously there's 3 different of us, but sending all these people down, well, we definitely lose any element of surprise, but I suppose we play with the hand we've been dealt, and if it helps us get Kruger back, then, well, it's no bad thing. I think we just need to keep our heads on and not let it become some military drill without nuance or intelligence behind it. Thankfully, Gurner, I suspect, has quite the head on his shoulders. I can't imagine you can afford to be very dim-witted if your trade is in magic. Heinrich makes up for what he lacks in smarts with enthusiasm. And I'm sure that he will bring his best to whatever happens.
Indeed. You're all right, it definitely is lacking in subtlety. Perhaps, if you'd gone back to the Low Kings, you could have succeeded in those negotiations, again promising them vast sums of wealth for them just to guide you to this location. And it's like you said, you've taken down many of these people before. Why would this be any different? But apparently the city thinks going in with vast swathes of men is a better approach here. Still, the question is, as all three of you are getting ready, is there anything you'd like to do? It seems the plan is to start in the Gelmond district. That's where they've actually made a good guess at the location of, well, some of the tunnels that will lead to this potential lair. Of course, you could have gone in the Ostwald district, but this small army would not be allowed in the Ostwald district, not without causing a bit of a scene. So the Gelman district is the best you're going to get. But someone is saying that might actually be a bit quicker. 2 teams are going to go down from 2 different tunnels, as it seems this lair maybe has several entrances, although again, according to the sewer jacks, all of them should be blocked off and this place should not be accessible. But obviously, that might not be the case anymore. With this plan in motion, is there anything you'd like to add to it yourselves or suggest? Or are you happy just to get ready? And also, do you all go in one team or split yourselves among the 2?
Well, I'll be asking the others, what do you think we're to expect from here? I mean, you've dealt with these people before, have you? I mean, in bigger groups.
Oh, I don't like to put everything down to luck, but in handling the Purple Hand before, we've often been able to get the drop on them before they've done anything truly, well, deadly or harmful. We've had our scrapes with them, but they've never unleashed all of chaos on us. So, really, our greatest advantage has always been, essentially, hitting them before they hit us, or hitting them harder.
And do they often have these magic users with them? Like the one we met that has the capability to burn a group to ash like that? Well,
we haven't really seen much sign of that in the past, so that is something to be concerned about, but that's why we've got you. You'll, I'm sure, be able to, absorb their magic or deflect it or somehow nullify it with the dark, however it works.
Well, I should be able to aid with counterspelling, if that's what you mean.
If that's what it's called?
Yes. Well, it's more like, I suppose, dissolving what they're doing than reflecting or absorbing. But, and I look at you like, I wonder if she wants to know more. Well, you see the winds as you channel them, they form sort of in different kinds of way, a density, and that you then can use and mold. And by dissolving that density, you keep someone from actually forming it into something tangible, if that makes any sense to you.
Vaguely. I suppose it's quite similar to how you might, I suppose, if there's an infection in a finger, for instance, you might tie it off or amputate it to prevent the infection from spreading to other healthier parts of the body. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm trying to relate to you, of course, Gurnar, but I know very little about about sorcery, if I'm quite honest.
Yes, sure. Sorcery, I suppose, but I know as little of your trade. I don't know much about infections, but I suppose it would be some sort of dissolution of whatever is bad that you would do.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Sometimes medicines can break straight through these things. There's all kinds of innovations. You should see the books I've got to read through. But often it's quicker and more effective to just cut off the offending body part.
Well, and that goes the same for any arms that are trying to channel a spell as well, I suppose.
That is my preferred method, after all. Heinrich, having been obviously eavesdropping, now tracing figure eights in the air with his rapier.
I look over at you, and I just I seem at a loss for words for a second, and I say, yeah, good that you are confident in that. I nervously fumble with my staff a little bit.
It's just the hands? Do you need the tongue as well? I imagine that's going to be a tougher chop.
Well, if you make someone silent, yes, that. But I don't see quite how you're going to get into someone's mouth.
Yeah, you've little faith. Although, I suppose taking the head off clean all the same. I'm sorry, this is incredibly morbid. I apologize.
And with that, the dwarf who you're starting to think, Heinrich, must be the commander, comes over to you and gives you a bit of a look. Although it's hard to tell where she's looking, because again, these helmets really do cover pretty much the entire face. But she does then say, you're the, Heinrich Schilf, Heroes of Middenheim and all that, yes?
One and the same, noble Dawi. Thank you for joining us today.
The dwarf does actually incline their head a little at you, saying Dawi, which of course is indeed how dwarves actually refer to themselves. Yes. Well, you're welcome to come with our main unit. We think we'll be the ones who apparently are going through the tunnel that we think should still be accessible. The other one should be blocked, but, well, you know how the Undercity is. These things have a way of shifting and changing every year.
Oh, far be it from a son of Sigmar to second-guess a dwarf when it comes to matters of tunnels and mines?
Plenty people do, but it's appreciated that you're listening. Grimhelm, Helga Grimhelm, commander of this Ironbreaker unit. You might be wondering why we're here. We of the dwarven community are keen to get rid of this insidious threat that did indeed threaten us with this ridiculous tax scheme. We're glad that's all going to be put behind us, and again, no one knows the tunnels better than us, and the sewer jacks, of course, who we do our best to assist when we can.
Happy to have such capable souls at our side. If I may, I'll introduce my compatriots, Sigfrida.
Or Lady Wittgenstein, as you prefer, I say.
And also Gerner, whose last name continues to escape me.
It's Stark. A pleasure to meet you.
Wizard, right. Good. Try and just stay out of the way if you can.
That's what I'm good at.
Good. Right, well, we're beginning to assemble. Reinforcement teams are waiting. We're going to make our route through, well, we've already told everyone, but I'm sure you've noticed. It took a while to work out where the map actually is located. We're still not 100% sure, but we do believe the Gelman tunnels should lead us to the landmarks. It's possible that this might be a dwarven basement, or one of the dwarven foundations, judging by the size and shape of the tunnel.
Well then, unless my compatriots have anything pressing at the last moment, I dare say lead on.
Good.
And I also feel, and I should express, I think that we should all move together, as much as it may be more valuable to cover wider ground. We're part of an interlocking pool of talent, if you like, Mr. Commander, sir.
Mistress, Commander.
Oh, really?
Yes. Can't you tell? The dwarf looks at you.
No. But thank you for letting me know. Well, Mistress Commander, as I say, if we were all split up, we would be far less useful.
Good. Yes, I agree. Standard formation will be holding the middle. The riflemen, of course, will be ready to move to the flanks if needed, but of course the initial guardsmen will lead from the front. 2 teams, same general outlook. Again, hopefully we'll all meet in the middle. And have you been in the Undercity before?
I shake my head.
Not this one, although it won't be my first time in a sewer.
The tunnels beneath Middenheim are far more than just a sewer, sir. But never mind. Just do as you're told. Do not go off exploring. Do not sniff strange molds. Don't antagonize the wildlife. We shouldn't have too many troubles with the giant spiders or giant rats in this amount of people, but you never know, we might run into some ghouls, some spectres, bears, wolves.
Bears? In the underground?
Yes.
I suppose they like caves.
There is more than one cave underneath this city. Again, the route we're taking should be secure, but Remember, when we say single file, go single file. Don't question it. And again, stay together. Do not go down any tunnels that we are not going down. I'm sure that is probably obvious, but you'd be amazed how many humans sometimes decide to just suddenly check a little tunnel on the side, not realizing the whole thing could collapse any moment.
Oh, rest assured, curiosity is not one of my strong suits.
Good. All right then. And she turns to the other two dwarves accompanying her, and they do some sort of hand gesture. You're not sure what it is, but it involves a lot of chest thumping. And then people start moving out. At this point, you do see the watch commander himself, Ulrich, just come over one last time and say to you, Siegfrieda,
Well, good luck, my lady. Again, I am surprised. There are not many nobles I know who would be so willing to assist as you. I approve. But be careful, and hopefully we will find Kruger Hoffman in this den of sin.
Oh, I'm sure I have no doubt that we will, and do not fear for my delicate sensibilities, sir. There is just as much sewage on the streets of Middenheim, it's just harder to see.
Oh, I'm looking forward to what you make of the Undercity. But very well then. Again, remember, if something does go wrong, the reinforcement armies are waiting, so retreat. Don't do a last stand if you don't have to. There will be backup coming, but someone needs to at least get to the backup to let us know to send them down.
Very well.
Very well then. May Ulrich and Sigmar be with you.
And with that, he nods his bald head, and everyone begins moving out, all gathered around these large sewer slabs that apparently are the way into the sewer, leading to ladders that will lead down to the Undercity. Meanwhile, it's been dark for some time, Kruger. Dark, cold, and cramped. You can hardly believe this has all happened. One moment you're on the rooftops of the Oswald district, skulking about as you've done hundreds of times. You could see an awful lot of activity from the Low Kings, it seemed. They were all gathering near that inn, getting ready. You could see plenty of little orphan children watching streets, but you were unseen. But what you weren't expecting was to suddenly literally bump into someone on a rooftop. Why would they have their men hiding on the rooftops? At least hiding the same places you were hiding. It didn't make any sense. Sadly, before you could react, 2 daggers were at your throat, and then a heavy, painful feeling on the back of your head, and it all went dark. What were your thoughts at the time? What were you thinking? Was this how it all ends for you?
Those were the thoughts that went through my head. My luck had held for such a long time, a lot longer than it should have, really. I'd been through one hairy situation after the next, and I'd gotten through it unscathed, and then, well, mostly anyways, and then this. My luck finally running out. The world finally being what it's supposed to be. No one should be able to get through everything that I've been able to get through. Maybe there was a sense of relief almost that, well, that's it then. I couldn't do anything about it. I was just overwhelmed. No one could have done anything more in a situation like that. So finding myself waking up now and realizing that no, that wasn't it. I'm still alive. It doesn't mean that I'm not gonna face my end momentarily, but, well, it does mean that I have to get back to fighting again.
Indeed. Sadly, though, you are unarmed. You are in a cage. You're standing in a cage. Your limbs ache. You are covered in mud and filth. And it's hard to see where you even are. It's a very dark place. There is a little bit of light, but it's not really lighting enough. You think there are other cages next to you, and are there people in them? You can't really tell, because you can't really move very well in your own cage. But there are some people in front of you. A lot of people, in fact. You think you can make out 10, 15, 20 bodies, lots of people moving back and forth, whispering, weapons being loaded up. You think you see pistols and crossbows being handed among others. You look above you, and there is a bit of a stone ceiling above you, and you think you can see in the gloom a bunch of tables and chairs and large shelves full of strange, maybe books and beakers. Interesting. A little bit like what you saw in the castle Wittgenstein. That sort of alchemical science stuff that doesn't really make much sense to you. It looks quite similar, although it's not nearly as grand as it was here. As you're looking around, one of these individuals comes forward. They are a woman, short dark hair, a very nasty bruise on their left eye, and a slightly pudgy nose. They tilt their head and notice that you're awake. Oh, awake are we? Oh, I'm so sorry. Did we wake you up? We didn't mean to. We're awfully busy down here. So sorry to wake you. Are you comfortable?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Very, very, very comfortable. Who are you?
Wouldn't you like to know? My name doesn't matter. Well, maybe it's Hilda. Hilda Heltz. But you, what a prize. So much more worth to you than the other traitor. We'll deal with him later, but you, skulking on a rooftop, what a find, eh?
Traitor?
Yes, the traitor, the one you were coming to interrogate, or rescue, or do whatever you were doing.
Oh. It's all a bit of a blur. You hit me pretty hard.
Someone hands this woman a large halberd, which she looks over for a moment before then glancing at you and moving close to the cage. So, shall I just stick you through here? Would that be a fun end for you? Is that what you'd like? Caster Lieberung or Kruger Hoffman or whatever actually your name is?
No, you don't have to do that. That's, you don't have to do that.
Pity. No, you're right, though. I'm not going to do that. Isn't that right, friends? And someone else grumbles something. Everyone else seems to be quite preoccupied with arming up for something, and then you see in the dark some candles, and they're being lit around a circle on the ground with strange red lines.
This isn't good. I've seen things like this before in our journeys, right? I mean, there's some form of ritual or the like then that we are being prepared for. That, it could be very, very bad. I try to see if there's any way out of this. Have they made any mistakes? Have they left any kind of out for me? Is there anything I can do, or am I just stuck here?
They've taken everything off you except you do have one of your lockpicks in your boot, but you'd have to lockpick the cage, and currently a lot of people are in this area, including this woman who's staring at you. Maybe if there was a distraction, but you don't see it. There's a lot of people down here, Kruger, a lot of people.
There's still hope, though. My friends might... we were going for just this, weren't we? We were going to stop people like this. Perhaps they'll be coming. I'll just need to bide my time. Eventually there will be a moment, and I'll just try to free myself and get out of this. Just have to try to not antagonize her now and just kind of let this happen.
As you're thinking this, she comes right to the cage and gently pokes you with this halberd. You're probably thinking, why aren't you dead? And why aren't I just killing you? It's not because I don't want to, because, well, I really want to, but you understand, of course, you're going to serve a greater purpose, a much greater purpose. And when that... Well, good news, though, still a few hours till midnight. But then, well, then you're going to see you're in for quite a treat.
Oh, who are you going to be summoning, then?
Demons. Many demons. And you're going to be the blood that brings them forth. And then we're going to cause so much suffering in your little city. But you're going to be the guest star. Isn't that a good homage? After all, What did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen when you stood against the architect of fate, our master, when you spat in his face, when you challenged him openly? Did you think you'd just get away with it?
Smile weakly. I would have hoped so. It had been going quite well up until now.
You feel that halberd shoved harshly against you. Yes, very well. You thought you'd taken us all out, but you haven't. You haven't, not yet. I'm going to sacrifice you to Siege, and then we are going to have our fun, and then I am going to lead our cell now, and there won't be any more of these silly little tax scheme hiding things. No. We will finally serve the master properly. The city will know Siege, and they will fear their name. Yes.
And I just look at her, and I don't really say anything. I just try to retain some kind of composure through all this, knowing that it's actually a very dangerous situation to be in, because I have no idea if my friends even know of this place. And there's only a few hours. I mean, this is a big city.
That's very true. Finally, someone else, a man with a beard, does just say, "You're sure that we shouldn't have, we have gone sent some people after the traitor as well?" "Yes, we didn't have time. I'd made a judgment call. It's fine. Even that traitor doesn't know about this place. How could he? This isn't his cell." "But he might have." "Yeah, did he? Shut up! Get the ritual ready. Remember to guard the tunnels. Get lots of men in them. Just in case, but I'm afraid the odds of them finding you are very slim."
I'm sure they are. I'm sure this will go really, really well. But tell me, if when you've called all these demons, aren't they just going to turn on you and kill you?
"That's not how it works. Are you an idiot? We're going to summon them. They do our bidding. You don't even know a single thing about summoning demons, do you?"
Do you?
"Yes, of course I do. Of course I do. I'm going to be the new leader of the cell."
But have you summoned demons before?
"Shut up, you stupid little man. Some one of your tricks? I'd almost for a moment," she leans in, "believe you really were Gaster Lieberung, if not for the fact that I, always knew it weren't you."
But I do look like him.
"Yes, you do, but you're not him. I met him. Stupid fool. All his talk of uniting the cells, or the Prince of Shadows is coming soon. I knew it was a bunch of nonsense, but no, you and your little friends, you were always just a bunch of fools, but enemies you were, and I'll give you credit, you've managed to destroy the entire leadership. But sadly, we can replace them. I will replace them. I will be the new Magister Mysteri, and our lords are going to welcome your blood especially."
What an honor.
And she jabs you one last time before leaving you be. You hear a bit of a groaning sound coming from one of these other cages. You turn and you think you can just see someone else in another cage looking at you, but their eyes are vacant and their skin is rotten, and they just look at you and groan.
"Don't worry. This'll be fine. It'll be fine. It has to be fine. You hear me? It's gonna be fine. We're gonna be all right."
They open their mouth and let out a dull.
Huh.
Meanwhile, somewhere a little further away, Heinrich and Siegfrieda, you were ready for sewers. As you said, you've encountered sewers before. Heinrich, you've even been in a cave or two before. But perhaps neither of you were expecting to go into a sewer system that is also a cave, for that is this environment. When you were in Bogenhafen, yes, it smelt bad. Yes, there were tunnels, and there was even a bit of old age, but these tunnels are practically ancient. The stonework crumbling in places. There are large holes you have to bypass. The sewer itself is like a catacomb. The tunnels are not straight, they are circular, going round in different directions. Some go up, some go down. At several points, you are led over very small, very thin wooden walkways, barely secured together. You're told to go one at a time. As your torches reflect the environment you see looking down, more caverns, more tunnels. Although, of course, you can't see much in the dark. You can feel a breeze on the air, the breeze that comes from chasms. At one point, Gurna, as you're looking around, someone drops one of their torches and it falls a long distance down. Something is disturbed and a great many bats suddenly fly up, but they don't truly bother anybody. How are you feeling, Heinrich? You're not entirely sure you know where you're going. You've turned left, you've turned right, you've gone up and down. Sometimes you're going down big tunnels, but twice you go down very, very thin tunnels that stink of refuge and sweat, and again you can feel with your hand on the wall that the stone just starts coming away at the slightest touch. You can see, on the route you're on, there are several times that scaffolding has been put up, much more recent looking, but even that doesn't seem to last very long down here.
I hate everything about this. We have combined all of the things that I don't like into one place. There are heights. I don't like heights. There is the smell of human refuse. I don't like the smell. There are probably wizards. I don't like wizards. And there are cultists. Don't like cultists. Aside from Siegfrieda and dwarves, there's nothing else I find enjoyable about this experience.
What about you, Siegfrieda? Erica is by your side sniffing the air, but this is madness. Who built this? It doesn't make any sense. It's like someone just decided to randomly start tunneling with no architectural plan, and the architecture itself is practically on the verge of collapse. But it seems the only reason it hasn't entirely is because natural stone wall and natural cavern wall is holding up most of this place. And this is only apparently the beginning.
Well, what interests me as I'm looking around, studying the surfaces, not sniffing strange things, as we were advised to avoid that, is the possibility that this may be the original city. I mean, it's just a guess. I've got no mind for architecture or indeed subterranean climbs, but the idea that maybe the Middenheim we've been walking around was built on top of the ruins of the old appeals to something in me. The idea of the stories that may have taken place in locations like this. So I don't find it frightening. I find it quite curious. I would like to read a book about it at some point, if there are such things on the surface.
Well, it does occur to you as you're inspecting things that a sewer jack is right next to you, just sniffing the air. They're the division of the watch who scour the sewers. It's their job to make sure nothing comes up, to make sure the main sewerways are clear as they can be. You could always ask.
I study the sewer jack. I don't want to be snobbish, I come from a peasant background as well. And I'm immediately making an assumption that to be a sewer jack, one must be a peasant, because, let's be clear, it's unlikely any highborn son or daughter would take on such a role. And yet there's something about that word sewer, when it's attached to someone's name as a title, it does tend to make an individual off-putting. And so I look at him a while before overcoming my prejudice and saying, "So how long have these been here?"
The sewer jack looks up at you. You think they might be in their late 30s, but they look a lot older. They are covered in grime, missing a couple of teeth. They scratch their stubbly beard and take a moment to check their crossbow before saying, "Hey, well, my lady, thousands of years, thousands of years, and that's just this part, never mind, if you go down lower, which thankfully we won't be, don't worry, my lady, we're not crazy, even the criminals and the mad people don't go down too far."
How far down do they go, then?
Bottom of the mountain, madam, and beyond.
And beyond? Has anyone mapped it?
No! You can't. Where would you begin? Even these tunnels fall apart half the time, and you try and make new ones, then you block old ones, and then of course everything got really bad when there was that. Oh, I don't remember if that was in my lifetime. Was I a kid when that happened? There's a big, and all the goblins came up. Again, the only time we almost got done in Middenheim, when they didn't come over the walls, but underneath. But luckily, we still were able to put them back. Again, the dwarves know a lot. They know a lot. They've got some deep places here. I've heard rumour, a lot of it's in the Wind District, which is where that's what the Engineers Guild is, and the Temple of Grungi. But, don't tell the dwarf I said that.
No, don't worry. Your secret's safe with me. So thousands of years, you say?
Yeah, this is the uppers, we call the uppers. This is where the actual sewer is for the most part. And then you go down further than that, and that's then the natural caverns, which the whole place is full of. It's like a spider web. Yeah. His metaphor perhaps is a bit clumsy there.
Yeah, I can tell. I nod. I see. Well, one last question, Mr. Sewerjack, sir, and then...
Herna, my lady, Herna. What's my name?
Herna, like hernia.
Yeah?
So Herna, these days, what kinds of people live down here?
Crazy people, criminals, got some holdouts, obviously the basements, or the very, lots of people in basements, and then otherwise no one, unless you're a monster. Plenty of monsters.
Right. Well, that's all very reassuring.
But again, we're in a big group, so again, the giant spiders, your average giant spider in these sort of areas wants to go for, lone targets, not like a massive bunch of people. The rats they'll be holding off up here, although don't go down too low. Oozes, we're not going near any of those. And hopefully we won't encounter a troll or a bear or a white or something, or any undead monsters. Hopefully.
Well, it sounds to me like there's a whole menagerie down here.
Yep. That's my job. That's what we do. We go down every day, try and make sure they don't get too far up.
Well, thank you so much for the education. I really do appreciate it, Herna.
My pleasure. And again, if you see any red mold, no, don't. Just don't. Is
it worth pointing it out to other people, or should it just be ignored?
Oh shit, if we haven't spotted it, we're all fucked, so it might be too late by then.
I really appreciate how you were able to keep your mood so optimistic. You describe this area, well, you clearly have a fondness for it despite the various threats down here.
Well, living's a living, and I've only lost 2 fingers and, and 1 ear. It's not so bad.
Only 2, well... Here's hoping you get to retire before 10 years.
Well, it is open. But again, we're doing good. And look at that, we actually got some bloody dwarves with us as well. Now, when they come down, they all see them in action. There's smash.
Well, smash indeed. Thank you, Herna. What a lovely man, isn't he, Erica?
Erica tries to bark in approval, but she's not having a good time down here. You can see she's struggling with all the many scents, many of them not very pleasant.
Yeah, I try to comfort her a little.
Could be worse, though. You have noticed there is at least a breeze down here, which was not the case in Bogenhafen. There is some sort of ventilation around here.
Herna, sorry, one last thing then, and I know I've said that already, and I'm not going to keep tugging on your cloak for answers.
Oh, yes?
This breeze that's rushing through here, does that come up from the surface, or come down, I should say, from the surface, or...
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Some of it comes from below, some of it comes from above. Obviously, all the holes we have in the mountain, that helps, because that's where all the sewage goes.
So if you were to actually climb down the mountain, you would be... Actually, I'm not going to finish that thought. I've never even considered where the sewage in the city goes.
Hey, it's not all that bad. We planned it. It's not like it all falls down. We know people live at the very, very bottom of the mountain. They avoid it, clearly. Some of it runs off into natural ravines that go deep into the earth, but yeah, a little bit runs down the mountain, but unless you're some weird smuggler or someone on a bird or flying, you're not going to be going anywhere near the sides of mountain ranges, are you? Trying to sneak in the city. Granted, some people do. It is possible if you find the right sewer grate that you can actually sneak all the way in, but, well, obviously you have to find the right one, and then you're in the Undercity by yourself.
And I suppose not many people pair the idea of something being right and a sewer grate in the same thought.
Exactly. Plus, most of them just end up dead, because, as I said, all the things. we found a whole bunch of people, actually, a big spider web, and they're all half-eaten, and I think they were trying to smuggle in some wine or something.
Oh, yeah, well, I can see why you find that so amusing. Come on, Erica, let's move up the line a little.
Indeed. What about you, Gurner Stark? You've never been in an environment like this. Full of dark tunnels, twisting sewage systems, crevasses. You literally think you're going over one right now, and every now and again, in the very far distance, movements. Little movements. Are they rats? Are they birds? Are they something else? It does seem the wildlife is avoiding you, but again, you are a large party of armed individuals.
This is different from anything I've been in ever before. I've been in big palaces and houses now. I've been outside, I've been through the forests. Never been in a deep cave system quite like this. And this isn't even a natural cave system. What did he say? The upper levels. And his name was Herner too. I used to have a Herner back in the village. Me and him would do small comedy jokes, calling ourselves Herner and Gurner. It was a good time. I smile a little bit despite the darkness that is all around me. But then I look over to Heinrich. I think to myself, he's way too pretty to talk to. I just talk a little bit outside. I see if anyone hears, just talk straight ahead. Well, this is like a city in itself. How are we supposed to find anything down here? It must be sprawling, just like Middenheim. And then as no one really seems to listen, I keep listening a bit to the conversation between Siegfrieda and Herner. I try to zone out a bit and focus on the winds here. How is the amber wind? Is it still strong here?
Extremely. All over the place. Of course, your own wind is finally a little prevalent down here. You are in dark tunnels. But no, it's all over the place, blowing on the breeze.
It's grr. I've only seen the bats as any sign of life. Talks of giant spiders, of everything else. It still appears a strange idea to me that a place that seemingly as barren as this would hold so much of the amber wind. I wonder what's causing it.
Something, but that might have to be a task for another day. 1 hour goes by like this, but it feels longer. Heinrich, you don't even think you've made that much progress. You're going really slowly. Really slowly. In fact, sometimes you've been told to just sort of almost crawl on the ground for a bit. Everyone is in a very bad mood, but apparently, according to your lead, the dwarf, her name Helga, does at one point mention, well, we're nearly there now, I think, maybe. See that turning there? That's the one on the map. Look, she points at some sort of symbol that's been etched. It's quite basic, really, just an arrow. That shouldn't be there. That shouldn't be there.
I'm not going to tell it, but I don't think I can see what you're talking about. My eyes are strained. It's dark as hell down here. The torchlight's not working for me. But I'm going to sound confident.
Helga lets out a bit of a chuckle. Ah, human. You get used to it eventually. This is nothing. Went to the Middle Mountains once. Now those are some dark tunnels.
Well, I'm sure that was a wonderful and rewarding experience. So you said we're almost there. Does that mean we should... and then I will trail off, allowing her to fill in the blank.
She motions for you to come forward for a moment, and motions to the tunnel in front of you, you see what looks like a great amount of wood and iron that's all been kind of piled up in a big blockade or blockage. She frowns. So, that is how it should be. But according to this little map, there's a way through this. See anything? And then you are then given a couple of torches, as this area finally allows a few people to stand in a line rather than all in single file.
Can I roll perception to see if I see anything?
You certainly can. Give yourself a +10 now there's lots of torches.
19 under 54.
Heinrich, you move forwards. Initially, you're not really sure. It does look like a big blockage. You're not entirely sure why it's like this. Maybe it was actually a proper built wall, but it's collapsed. That seems to be how it looks, but then why is there all these bits of wood in it? You're looking around, and you see a little small opening. But it leads to a dead end. You can see lots of rock. But then you lean forward a little more with your torch, and the light doesn't work right. That's weird. Why is the light should be having a different reflection here? You reach out your hand, and what should be stone is actually fabric. You're looking at a little piece of fabric that's had some very basic stone painted on it. You would never have actually noticed if you hadn't poked your head in. It does look good, but now that you're actually staring at it, you can see this is very clearly just a piece of fabric hanging over a very small opening in this otherwise big blockage.
Well, that is terribly clever.
What do you do?
One quick glance over the shoulder to make sure that my dwarf associates, but also my not dwarf associates, are close at hand. Whatever's on the other side of here, I don't want to be facing it alone unless I have to.
As you do this, I look on and I look at you and the fabric and give a shrug and a smile. That was unexpected.
Well, sometimes simplicity is its own kind of clever, right?
I nod.
I expect there are plenty of shadows where we're going. Are you ready to do what you do?
I nod. Yeah, I'll be ready.
Have you ever, to another human before?
What do you mean?
You've done stuff with shadows in general. Have you ever had to do what you do to a person?
Oh, as in attacking someone, or fighting someone. Yeah, I've been in battles with another wizard. Yeah.
Okay, good, because I didn't want this to be your first time.
I smile a bit nervously from my side, but I'm not sure it leads through the darkness.
And just so we're clear, I'm the tall, handsome one. Sigfrida, pointing back, is the short, would rather be somewhere else one. Erica's the dog. Just get those faces in your,
Watch out what you're saying right now.
I don't just fire things at random.
I need to consider very strongly what kind of medical treatment is provided for someone assaulted or flayed or inhabited by shadows. I've no idea how this magic works. It's really going to be quite fascinating.
Erica's nose starts to perk up a little, and she gives a very quiet bark, sniffing the ground. Is that a sign, Erica? Has she picked up your friend's scent? If you actually are where you're supposed to be, maybe she's finally found the scent. Maybe that means Kruger is actually nearby.
I will call attention to the fact. Looks like Erica's found a trace of something. I'm guessing it's Kruger.
At the mention of his name, she does tilt her head a little and then bark, perhaps in an affirmative fashion. Erica is often a very intelligent dog, you've noticed.
Is that a yes bark or a no bark?
Difficult to say, but I'm going to go for yes.
Alright. Well, time again, right? No way but forward. That's how we do.
Helga Grimhelm nods and begins to lift a hand, suggesting that she'll lead the way first. And everyone does begin going through this little opening you found, and it does take you to the other side. Here, the sewage is no longer prevalent. It seems it's been blocked off from the main sewers. The tunnel seems a little cleaner, wider, but it is very dark. but everyone begins assembling with their torches. What do, Heinrich? You're at the front. A dark tunnel awaits you.
As much as it pains me to say this, it is probably not going to benefit us to march down the tunnel just as lit as possible. If nothing else, I'd like to be this is Kruger's job. I can't believe he's making me do it by getting captured. I would like to scout ahead a little bit, peering, and I think I'm going to make it about 6 steps into that adventure before I realize it is pitch unforgivably black. And this is the part where I remember that Gerner is really good at this. So I will pause at the edge of the torchlight and wave him forward.
I start moving up to you. Yes. Did you see something?
No, that's the point. I can't see fucking anything. You can see in shadows. Did you say that? Am I making that up?
You're making that up. I can see the magic winds and how they move, but no, I haven't mastered the spells of dark vision yet. I look a bit abashed.
I stifle the need to laugh at Heinrich's assumption.
It's okay. I haven't mastered the spells either. All right. I don't... Siegfried being close enough over here. I will share my concern about being well lit, but tactically speaking, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Do we want to have the light and give ourselves away, or not have the light and suffer all the attendant consequences?
It's at this point, as you're having your conversation, granted quite quietly, I'd like both of you to make a perception roll, please. That's Heinrich and Gerner.
I sincerely hope that Gerner is perceptive.
Well, that's a plain success.
You're having your conversation, debating how to go forward, and then, Gerner, you just hear, to your right, the sound of a click, which, being the sort of man you are, who's been around occasionally people armed with pistols, that's the sound of a pistol being clocked, and then 2 or 3 more. You need to get into cover now.
I'll just swing around, grab hold of Heinrich and unceremoniously pull him back and down.
And Heinrich, you are suddenly shoved against the wall, which you do notice in this area there are quite a few crates or even bits of rubble. There's actually an alright amount of cover here, just as the shots start firing. 6 or 7 gunshots go off in the dark, lighting the darkness before you. Battle has begun. People are calling out to get into position, but it does seem, due to Gerner's sudden movements, that your friends are not taken off by surprise. What about you, Siegfrieda? There are now several people shooting at your position. What do you do?
Well, I do have my crossbow with me, and of course I've got Erica with me as well, but I can't see the people loosing their volleys, I assume.
Not immediately, but you do see flashes in the darkness right ahead of you. There's only so much space in this tunnel.
Well, if it's so dark that we can barely see them, it must be true that it's the same the other way round. Is there any cover, any half cover, like a stone outcropping, something I can basically have my lower half behind while I crouch and maybe lean over with the crossbow?
There certainly is, right in front of you. And again, you're able to reach it nice and quick, thanks to Gerner's sudden warning.
Okay, I command Erica to lay down. And at that, given that I have so far in all of my time now owning this crossbow, never once shot off a bolt in anger, this could be fun. And it also might come without the guilt of actually seeing the person I hit.
Certainly. Would you like to make a ballistic skill roll?
Oh, good roll. I got a 5.
Ooh, that's a very good roll. Siegfrieda, you aim into the darkness. You fire. Somewhere there's a scream of pain. You reload. Fire again. Second scream of pain. You're doing Well, you are definitely hitting people. You can't quite see the exact nature of your attacks, but you're helping. You're helping. Heinrich, you've been pushed against the wall very briefly, but it's aided you. You're in cover. Shots are being fired, but you're fine. And, well, you're pretty sure in a few seconds an awful lot of gunpowder is going to be coming in the other direction. But what would you like to do? Your pistols are ready, and even though you can't see them very well, you can definitely make out now silhouettes of figures in the dark shooting at you.
Oh, there's going to be a wonderfully small moment where I, like chest to chest with Gurner, say, much obliged, and then rotate our bodies as if dancing partners so that I can find an angle to shoot. I'm not interested in anything fancy. I'm going to find the nearest person who looks dangerous and attempt to make them less so.
Wonderful. Dual pistols or your lovely blunderbuss?
2 pistols, I think, is the right move here.
Then please make a ballistic skill roll and give yourself a +10 due to your fun tactical maneuver.
That is an 87, which means it is a 78 on the back end. I think I would like to spend fortune in this case to put correct fire downrange.
Certainly. I will say that if you do miss in this fight, on this occasion, it will simply mean you get maybe a chance of getting shot, so you don't want that.
I am vehemently opposed to being shot, I will tell you that much. But my fortune has been fortunate indeed. I have rolled a 22, which is 2 crits.
That is a critical hit. You aim, you fire, you aim and fire again. You have time to reload, and you do it very swiftly and quickly from your position. And at that point, as you hear again the sounds of screaming and pain, well, that's when, of course, everyone else behind you fires as well. There is a call from one of the watch sergeants. Ready, aim, fire! And several of your rifles, the rifles on your side, go off into the darkness.
I had the good sense to throw myself on the floor, I hope.
You don't need to. You're actually in a pretty good spot of cover, and it does occur to you that these individuals are, well, they're firing in unison. You haven't seen a full unit of militia riflemen firing for, well, a very long time.
Oh, praise be to Nuln.
And so the fight continues in your favor. You feel the forces in front of you are starting to fall back. You begin advancing. You realize now, Heinrich, there's no point in stealth. People are lighting torches and surging forwards, especially the men with halberds, and you begin stamping over dying or dead enemies, moving forwards. You also hear some commotion from up ahead, and you think you hear one of the watch sergeants say something like, "That must be the others! We're all converging at the same time!"
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this 4th part of the series, we are tackling The Horned Rat. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Minotron Omega, Aegersonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We'd like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, Graham Barey, and Doug Thomson for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that Skaven are definitely not real, and even if they were, the Emperor has already dealt with that threat.